Welcome back to the Drock Show. We are here for part 7 of One Piece. We're going to be talking about part 2 of Alabasta, getting through all the rest of Alabasta, all the beautiful things, starting from chapter 179, where Luffy is no longer being stabbed.
Welcome back to the Drock Show. I couldn't leave at the part where Luffy had been stabbed. This section was my favorite ever so far. 179 to, where was I supposed to stop reading?
Because you can never look at your most recently read chapter, can you?
No.
217. You're supposed to stop at 217.
We had our crab flying across the sand, doing its crabby crab things. Sanji, as usual, is smoking up a storm. My God, that man smokes a lot more than I thought. The thing that immediately let me know that this whole arc was going to hit different is Toto is out in Yuna. He's sitting there in the desert. Water, it's filling the hole. Didn't I tell you, Luffy? This is a strong land. Oh. My heart. And it was that moment on that I understood, and it just became so clear with these 2 panels exactly what it was that Vivi was fighting for. This was a beautiful, beautiful little panel. Yuba is still alive. Right after, to foil just what a absolute donkey show crocodile face is, it goes, Yuba is still alive. Boom. Next panel, Yuba will die. That sandstorm will destroy it. Then the rebels will grow even more enraged. Their misguided compassion will rip this kingdom apart.
Yeah,
Come on!
If their leader's hometown dies, probably not going to make them happy.
And then he's twisting his hand with his hook on it inside of Luffy. And the water of Yuba is running down his arm. And that was amazing foreshadowing, because what a great, great thing he did there. Even I, in that moment when I was watching him and Luffy grabbed it, I was like, it's interesting. And then Luffy said the same thing, but Luffy had some pressing concerns, like the hook through the center of his chest. Tucked into a hole. The desert swallows Luffy. I'm like, I thought Luffy was in the rest of this comic. So then I'm like, well, the manga must do more. So calm yourself down. What's going to happen to him? I don't know. In this time, Tashigi does a lot more. I don't know how I feel about this. So let's have it out about this little thing that happened with Smoker and Tashigi. Okay, so Smoker decides that he's going out onto the boat. And Tashigi says, am I to go after the Straw Hat Gang, or do you want me to assist the Royal Army? And he goes, up to you. Decide for yourself what you want to do there. On one hand, I like that because it's what I was talking about earlier, that the position doesn't dictate your own moral code. But on the other hand, I felt like maybe he had changed enough to say, like, maybe let's not waste a lot of firepower at that. You know, let's change the firepower in the direction of our focus to something that actually matters.
I think it's a really, really interesting character moment. The way I read it is that it's similar to what you were talking about with the idea that justice, it's a more personal thing, and it's the goal of the higher ranked Marines, and you get to a higher rank by your personal justice being something that can be trusted in a position of leadership. I read it in this moment as Smoker being like, I don't know what the right call is. He's just got to tell Tashigi, this is your moment to show your style of justice. Do what you think is right, because I don't know if I can do what I think I need to do.
I did agree with you on that. The only thing I thought is that he left her without information. So all of that is absolutely true. And he does give her the opportunity to create her own opinion, and he doesn't try to sway her to have one, but he doesn't give her the little bit of information that he had. That Luffy was fighting Crocodile Face, that he's going after him, that the entire Straw Hat group is fighting for Vivi and helping Vivi to reclaim her nation back from both the rebels and Crocodile and unite them. And B, that Luffy ordered Smoker to be saved. So there's 2 little pieces of information that I think that if you want people to make a educated decision, that the least that you could do is give them a tiny bit of backstory.
I kind of read that as Smoker saying, I don't think in this moment my judgment can be trusted on this. If he's going to get your help, he has to earn it from you.
And then we see where the king is, and he's been captured, obviously, by people who are able to take him underground. That makes sense. You are also this country. You must not destroy each other. Those who lament war, those who fight, those who incite war, those knowing the truth and wanting to stop it. Their hopes are about to collide. He's a master. The more I get into this story, the more I just Can't believe what a master this man is. Luffy pops out of the desert. And what's the first thing he screams? Meat! I like that when he comes out, he's flashbacking to Crocodile Face. I outclass you as a pirate. Yuba will die. And Luffy feels his failure, and instead of allowing it to sink him in the sand, he keeps trying to come out. And then gather our first harvest. Whether she knows it or not, when Miss El Sunday sends her arms down to lift Luffy out of the sand, she's already made her decision. She knows what side she's on, and it's not Crocodile Face's. But she leans down and looks at him and says, as one of those whose name is D, why do you fight? And Luffy says, D? So now we know Luffy has never bothered to think about what his middle initial is for. Like 100,000,000%. Just who are you people? I guess it's a waste of time to ask. And then in the next page, what happens, Drock? Yay! Gold star for me! Ding, 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 ding.
What was this one again?
Ding. Well, do you remember when Mr. 8 died and I said no?
Yeah, you said he was not dead. That is true. You did make a prediction that Mr. 8 was not dead. And lo and behold, he arrives with like the tiniest band-aid on his face after exploding.
Yeah, because he didn't. They get across the river, and what's waiting for them? Kairu and the Supersonic Duck Squadron. The ducks come up and they don't know who's who. And they did a really good job using the ducks as a decoy so that they could separate and allow Vivi to go where she needs to. I like the way they use the partnerships in the different fights that we have one-on-one with different Straw Hat characters. I think that was a great decision. It allowed us to see some of the greatest fighting strengths, but it also allowed us to find out some information about how the Straw Hats in general are changing. And then Mr. Crocodile Face, Vivi and Koza must not meet. And that's his whole focus. Meanwhile, Vivi's focus is getting to Koza this entire time. Koza, please hear me out. And she's screaming, and he goes right by her while she's standing in the middle of the desert, and the camels and the horses whoosh by her, and she's in the middle of all the sand being shot up, and she's screaming, and he hears nothing and runs right by her. Hey, was someone standing over there? Just don't be ridiculous. Never mind those dogs who were shooting at us. He built really good tension. What an interesting pairing to put Vivi and Usopp together. And then Usopp's talking to Sanji. Vivi's bad. He clobbered us in about 2 seconds. So definitely not a battle that Usopp ever should have been having.
No, Mr. 2 was not a fitting opponent for Usopp, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, Usopp was not ready for that kind of heat. So this is where we find out that they didn't just wrap bandanas around their arm, that underneath is an X. So if anyone is, have them remove their bandage and show the symbol underneath, and you'll know if they're an imposter. A double bluff. Very clever for the likes of you. They're such brothers. Zoro and Sanji are such brothers. Watching Mr. 2's fights, incredible. What a great character. He's so full of ridiculousness. It is like watching a mad fever dream come to life and fight you. And here's another moment. They shot Kairu and he falls on the ground and you're just like, and my heart is broken, and Vivi's screaming, and then out of the dust, who comes? Sanji. Because he comes in clutch. It's unbelievable how many times that they put Sanji in at these levels where like you're like, who's going to come in? Who can save them? It's Sanji. The rebel horde can still be stopped, right, Vivi? Well done, squadron leader Karu. You're a real man. And then he goes, you two are dismissed. I'll deal with the swan. That battle was unbelievable. This is another one of those building moments that we're still putting seeds in the ground. A cook, I'm a top flight swan, but cook shouldn't mess with criminals. Oh, I'm a criminal too, and a pirate, and a cook. So we're 2 peas in a pod. That's right. Now stop trying to wreck this country. So they're having this fantastic banter back and forth. So they're kind of still building a friendship even in a fight, which ends up being an amazing thing because their fight ends up being one of those things where even though Mr. 2 loses the fight eventually after like epic moment after epic moment where you're like, damn, Oda, way to take it to the fence. There's this incredible respect between the two when the fight is done. That they have so much respect for how they fought and who they are and the honor that they had. And so more friendship is built. Okay, so you know what my very favorite fight is, interestingly, which I did not expect.
Okay,
Was
I'm curious.
I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I'm
Uh-huh.
really upset about it.
Uh-huh.
I think you know what it is.
What is it?
Usopp's.
Usopp and Chopper versus Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas. Let's go.
I can't believe I have to say that out loud. Usopp's fight was glorious. Their fight was amazing. Yeah. Because in Usopp's fight, do you remember when I told you that everyone would be like, Usopp is our god? And I keep saying it over and over again. He feels the most human. He has the most mistakes. There's the most difficulty. And because of that, between the two of them, Chopper and Usopp really had to use their brains to fight this out. It couldn't just be about brawn, because they didn't have enough to go against people who were number 4. You don't have that level of fight. Everybody knows it. You got your ass handed so fast by Mr. 2. There's no words for it. It was like you showed up, he was like clobber, and you were like, good point. I guess I'll walk away now.
Which is fair, because Mr. 2 is on Sanji's level, and you don't imagine a fight between Sanji and Usopp being a long one.
100%. It makes sense. But you only move down 2 levels to number 4. And number 4 has Merry Christmas, Miss Merry Christmas. And somehow they managed to win.
Miss Merry Christmas too. They're such a good pair. Like, their team up is really good. They have so many combo moves. They work together really well.
The two of them are an amazing pair, and they can sneak up onto you and come out behind you. And they have explosions. And then all of a sudden you look up, and what's that? It's not a good dog.
This isn't a good boy? You don't think Lasso's a good boy?
That's a bad boy. That should have been Lasso. Mr. 4's favorite gun has a slight cold. Okay, when we go into a little bit of corkboard, make sure that I come back to Lasso and the devil fruit.
You wanna talk a bit about how a gun eat a fruit?
Yeah, I really do want to talk a little bit about how guns are eating fruit now.
Hey Google, how gun eat fruit?
How gun eat fruit. The other cool thing about the fight between Chopper, Usopp, and the pair is Chopper and Usopp do a lot of working together. We don't see this much talking and strategizing with the other Straw Hats, which makes this even more human. They're revealing their strategy. They're pulling apart the other opponent's offense. They're decoding it and trying to figure out what's going on. And through all of this work, we get to see firsthand how they end up winning. So they don't just end up winning and having a great strike. We get to see all the strategy come to life. And I think it makes the fight so much more enjoyable, because there isn't a moment in this fight where I didn't know what was going on. Because Usopp has to be smarter and use his mind. And then it gets revealed, like right away we find out that his hammer is just, the usual old carnival trick and stuff. Because Usopp has to be smarter and use his mind, I absolutely started to feel the way that other people were feeling about Usopp, where you're just like, this dude is out there with Chopper, and Chopper has a lot of powers and he's got things going on for him. He's not a lightweight, but they're out there having to survive. And rather than giving up, and we're talking about somebody who every time he hears about scary things just runs the other way and is like, how fast can we get away from this? And then is like, okay, no, I want to be brave. I want to be brave. They're the saying that the people who are actually brave are the ones who are afraid and do it anyways. And a lot of the other crew aren't afraid. Usopp is. The other crew might have like some fears, but they don't have the fear the way that Usopp is. So Usopp is the epitome of brave. You have to give credit where credit's due. When somebody feels this uncomfortable, but comes in packing and does the work, that's actually brave.
It was almost the drawing this week. Usopp being told to back down and admit that his captain's dream is stupid and that Luffy could never be king of the pirates. That's what encourages Usopp to stick in, because you don't make fun of my captain's dream.
Right up until I saw this moment here, it was Usopp. There comes a time when a man's got to fight. What? You're still? And that's when somebody makes fun of their friend's dream. And then together, Usopp and Chopper are just like, badoom. For me, their fight and their win was my chef kiss moment of this entire arc. I loved it.
On my first viewing, it was mine as well. Like, I love it so much. Yeah.
So the thing about Nami's fight that I adored, I didn't expect Usopp's tinker to be so successful. So unfortunately for Nami, like, she's fighting, like, she's saying dumb things like, just give me a minute, and running away, which is really ridiculous. Like, no, Nami, that's not how death battles work.
This woman is an assassin, Nami.
She's going to do the killing of you when she can do the killing of you. And she's like, just wait a second. I'm not ready to attack you. That's what I say to people too. And I'm in the alley if they were trying to attack me. I'm not ready. Let me take out my weapon. But the thing that makes it so cool is she's like, this is going to work. And then Usopp's invention keeps doing kind of dumb things. But as she's in the fight, her capabilities are moving up so fast. She's learning at a ridiculous, rapid pace, figuring out why this isn't working and how this could come together. And Usopp, even though Usopp gets a massive assist on Nami's fight, let's be honest, which also helped to up the Usoppness
because he kind of gets credit for
two fights.
Well, think about it. He indirectly or directly fought 4 Baroque Works agents.
Yeah, he did. Damn. Usopp. She's fighting the sexiest of the Baroque people.
I think if you're going on traditional attractiveness, there is a real argument between Miss Doublefinger and Mr. One as the sexiest.
Oh, I would agree. But when
his
his body turns all metally, I'm like, ugh.
I mean, her body turns spiky.
Okay, let me just say, there is a moment when her boobs turn into spikes and smash into either side of Nami's head that I was like, oh, ugh. It was just the weirdest looking picture. I almost picked it just to be a jerk.
Look, honestly, the way the YouTube algorithm works, I think boob spikes pinning a woman to a wall would do really well as a thumbnail.
Mr. One is traditionally a hot dude, but he just didn't do it for me.
Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger both to me they got real supermodel energy.
They actually really do. That's a very good point. I love Nami's fight, and I love that she learns so quickly and changes things and takes something from a party trick to using all the elements of what makes this weapon so successful and absolutely changes it to her advantage and she ends up beating, who can even believe, I can't believe I'm saying she ends up beating Miss Doublefinger. Like, it was ridiculous. Watching Nami fight her, I'm like,
one of the absolute strongest of the Baroque Works agents.
100%. She is an equal number one, and here Nami of all people is fighting her with an Usopp weapon, which I didn't see going well. And now, like, we know, prediction but not prediction, she is going to play with this Tinker toy until the ends of days and make it do her bidding. Obviously, Usopp is going to continue to be the Tinker that he is, and some great things are going to come out. So Usopp may use them, but also knowing that Nami will is making me that much more excited to see what the future looks like for fighting with these two.
Oh, I definitely agree. So
then we find out what it is that Mr. Crocodile is actually after. And you and I had a conversation earlier when we were just talking in the real world about how we really get an understanding of how big this world is, because when he's looking for the Pluton, he is one of the 7 warlords. But in order for him to feel like he can go on and conquer the world, he feels like he needs this huge otherworldly weapon that was created in order to have enough power, because he doesn't feel like he could do that on his own.
Which immediately tells you the scope of what's to come, that this guy, the strongest thing we've met so far, he believes that without a fucking super weapon, he has no chance and needs this to win.
Exactly. If this dude feels like he can't go on, fight against the rest of the world, then we're going to see some scary shit. When we found out what number 1 was made out of and that his whole body is a sword, this is the part that I said they're all leveling at a very strange rate, and they're learning as we go in a way that you normally don't see with people. So it's as if rapid, they change, they grow, they get better from fight to fight to fight. That is shown here more than almost anywhere else. Zoro says, so your body is as hard as sword metal. If I want to cut you, I have to be able to cut steel. That's too bad. I can't cut steel yet, so I can't defeat you. So what will you do? Well, I feel sorry for you, because I've been waiting to be driven into a corner like this so I could take myself up a notch. When I defeat you, that means I'm able to cut through steel. That is exceptional. And it also shows where we are with our crew now. Like, My straw hats are coming into battles, and every time they have a battle, they're not thinking to themselves, oh, I'm learning a little bit. You can feel the leveling taking place in it. I mean, it does have a thing about it being leveling, but you can actually see it and feel it, and it's present every fight. They grow, they change, they grow, they changed. And then he gets to go back in time and think about his teachings and what his sensei told him about when you can cut nothing, that's the real strength. And having him not understand it and go through this huge, huge, ridiculous fight scene and then say, watch this sheet of paper very carefully, Zoro. It's still in one piece. He says, listen, Zoro, there are swordsmen in this world who are able to not cut anything. These same swordsmen also have the ability to cut through steel with the same instrument. He doesn't understand it. He fights. He keeps trying to figure things out. And suddenly he has that epic freaking moment in his chapter called Mr. Bushido. He's losing and he's racked. He's close to death. An instant macellation brings death. He's under the rubble. But then all of a sudden, when the thing is falling, he knows exactly where the rocks aren't going to be. Zoro, you badass. I knew where the stones wouldn't fall. I didn't dodge. I just knew where they wouldn't fall. I know what's under that rock. And suddenly he can feel everything, the beat of the heartbeat of the rocks, the earth itself breathing. And then he said, this is the power to cut steel. And then hold on to your hat, Mr. One. You're about to get sliced. I want to know what chat's favorite fights are because there's so many fights and I've said mine.
Yeah, let's do a poll. Oh, you did it. Oh my God. How did I not notice that? Apparently Zoro won, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I can see why. Like, don't get me wrong.
It's very
Zoro's
cool.
It's so epic. He was his coolest that he's ever been in this fight. You could see where fan love comes for Zoro after this fight.
For a while, I started to question Zoro, and I was like, should I be as much a fan of him? Is being awesome enough of a character trait to love him this much?
Yeah.
After a while, I went, no, you know what? When you're this awesome, it is actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when you're cool enough, that's enough.
You know what I think is really important in this fight too? Like, yeah, the fight between Luffy and the great gross crocodile face is absolutely incredible. And him understanding and bringing the water in and him coming in on the back was like so good. But one of the things that was also incredible is that the king got to see all of the respect and the honor that Luffy had and how he was fighting on behalf of his daughter because they were friends. And he was standing up. That's going to mean something in the future. As soon as Miss Sunday was staring at this wall and she was pretending that all this was talking about is history, I thought, this is where I have absolute confirmation. Miss Sunday is changing teams. Sorry, Croc. Because there was no way in hell that would be the only thing that was protected down there. And then I was absolutely stunned that Crocodile believed Miss All Sunday that that's all that was on there. That's ridiculous. The fight between Luffy and Crocodile Face was absolutely fantastic, but it was one of those things where you just there's not a lot to read into it except for this. I was thrilled to see that Luffy had not only grown in abilities and that he leveled up while we were here and is now able to win, but it was like you were talking about before, that people are able to use their power of thoughts to actually level themselves up and use things in a new way. So Crocodile Face is just saying, like, I've learned my powers, but Luffy is saying, well, it's more than just learning my powers, it's learning my enemy's weaknesses. That I can't come into battles anymore thinking that just my power is going to do it. I have to remember that I'm coming against a living, breathing human, or whatever they are, and I have to bring in their weaknesses as well. And I really enjoyed that as a growth curve for Luffy. Crocodile was like, you can't just win with this. And Luffy is like, blood can make sand harden too, right?
You don't have any water. What's happening? Well, you cut me the fuck up, fam, so.
Thanks for giving me a source of liquid.
The 4Kids dub changed it to sweat.
Ew. I don't know that that's better.
It's less violent?
I wasn't worried about the poison hook either for some reason, because I was just like, nah, dude, it's just time for you to die. Like, nah, bro.
So the way that I look at this scene that I really love, and this is a first reading observation, while Crocodile's here like, I've mastered my devil fruit, I've mastered my power, Luffy basically shows up to say, you know what, you can flex on me for not knowing my devil fruit as well as you know yours, that's fine. but you haven't had the gumption to get good at fighting. When it comes
Yep.
to like dodging hits, taking hits, giving hits, I'm fucking better than you. I hit harder, I
Yep.
move faster. So the second I know how to move around your power, you are at a loss because you are so proud of your devil fruit ability that you don't know how to just fucking throw hands. And I just
Because
love how simple
because
that
he
is.
never gets hit ever.
Yep.
Because you punch him, but he's sand, so your fist goes through. So he doesn't care if he's hit. So you're exactly
Yep.
right. When I watched it, I was thinking how much I enjoyed that he was kicked into the opening, that he was kicked into public. But I love that idea that not only is he kicked out into public, that the rains start falling, and that does a bunch of things. Even if he was still alive, he's touchable and fightable if the rains are following on him, making him wet. And everything that he tried to ruin is immediately changed. And then all while that's happening, the backstory of them trying to stop the tower gun going off so that it doesn't take out a 3-mile swath. Phenomenal. All the different fighting in there, except for Vivi is up there and is given up on life and doesn't know how she's going to do it. And she's like, it's just not fair. I don't understand. Like, we've done everything that we possibly can, and now we're going to lose this fight. It just feels blah, blah, blah. Then her person comes back and she's like, oh, yay, you're going to take me out. And everything is great. And then he's like, no, don't mind me. I'm just going to pick up the bomb and die and devastate you in the process. Okay, so was it Pelt? Is that the name of the dude who flies
Hell is the
in? And
falcon who flies away.
later on in the piece, when the doctor in the desert is fixing someone up, and then you see the scarf, and you know that Pella's alive. I wasn't going to admit, but I must admit that I cried and put the manga down,
Oh, no.
walked away, and had a like 3-minute cry about his death.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why it impacted me so much, but it just did. I was just like, just chucked by it.
Did you know
Ugh.
that the fan base is largely upset that Pell survived because it cut that feeling and made it feel less worthwhile?
Yeah, I could actually see it. Because it was such a sacrifice that when it happened, it was really this moment where he was sacrificing everything for Vivi, and it felt a little bit cheapened to have him live. And yet I don't care. I was so glad to see him alive, and not
All
see
right.
him, but I was so glad to see his headscarf and have him be alive. I know, it kind of cheapens it. But I don't know if you've heard this. Ugh.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
I was
Where-
crushed to my soul, and they took the dagger out of my heart for a minute and were like, no, we'll wait till later to kill you. I like the way that this was wrapped up too, because I talked to you how I really like those down moments when they clean things up and it isn't just something that's kind of done. Having them all brought out, having the king take Luffy out, getting Vivi to know that her father knows everything because he was there for Luffy fighting and saving. And then having them all just fall down in the alley they were, and the decision to just leave them and walk away. That was brilliantly done. And it felt fair. It felt right. It felt like justice. Speaking of justice, having the great moment, Smoker tries to give credit where credit is due. And then Black Cage Hina is like, why are you bothering to do this? They're never going to let pirates take credit. That's not what happened. And I want the honest truth and the real feeling to be there. I'm sorry, I take it back, but since when do you care about others, White Hunter? Is that heart of yours getting soft? Mind your own business. It made it feel like he actually cared about justice. And then where Tashigi was like, I forbid you to lay a finger on these pirates, and just let them lay where they were to be brought inside and cared for by the kingdom. That's an awesome moment. Almost as awesome as watching my little kung fu dudes dance around and party, or Toto sit in the desert with rain falling on his face. Like, it was just such a great ending. Panel after panel of exactly what you were hoping for. And it made it so beautiful.
Oda's very, very good at giving you exactly what you wanted and having it be just as cathartic as you hoped.
Every time I turned the page, I felt like I was being given another gift. I got to see Chopper in his element being complimented and acting like a weirdo by it. I got to see Luffy eating all the things. I got to see Zoro being Zoro and saying, I refuse to just sit on my laurels. I'm going to hang giant boulders off of my arms. I got to see every single person kind of living their best life. And him ending it with the idea that Vivi would want to be making a choice about joining them made a lot of sense, because of course she would. Of course she would want to join them. Not only are they friends, but there's something deeper now. They've been through these changes together. They've helped each other become better leaders, better people, better friends, better citizens. They've just helped each other become better. They have brought out the best in each other. You want to be with people who make you a better you. But when she realizes she has to put those things into practice now and use what she's learned to become the best leader that she can and stay where she was rather than going, that was another cry moment.
Yeah.
Because you want her, in your heart of hearts, you want her to go. You do. But she can't. And if she did, that would be wrong. It was the right way to do it, even though it brought up all the tears and all the emotions. It was the right way to do it. Love that Monkey has got a higher limit on his head now, and we've got Roranaz Zoro killing it, higher price on his head now too, because the original price on Crocodile's head prior to him, I adored having Mr. 2 come back, having that friendship bond happen that I knew would happen. That's also everything you want. You know what, Oda? We had some moments together, like when you put things through people. I like those. But you really came in through the other side.
Alabasta's ending could not feel as good as it does if he didn't put you through hell to get there. If every character didn't have to suffer through to make it to this ending.
Including getting to see Django and his friend there.
Yeah, they came to arrest the Straw Hats.
Yeah, having them there to arrest the Straw Hats. I think they're going to flip sides eventually, prediction. But in the meantime, I love having them there. I love that they decided to take number 2 on and just be like, yep, nope, we're friends. And then he immediately helps them and proves his worth as a friend. So we're going to come back to him sometime soon. He's going to be part of our world 100%.
All right,
he's
add to the predictions. Mr. 2's coming back. He will be an ally.
I really look forward to that. For me, every time I see this picture, and this was one of those times that I was like, yeah, Oda and I are from the same generation. This is just like the end of The Breakfast Club, which is one of those Brat Pack movies that were super popular when I was a kid that everybody loved. As soon as I saw this, and then how he used it for all of them, and they lifted their fist with their X's on, all I could hear is the Don't You Forget About Me soundtrack in the background while they stood there crying at each other with their fists in the air. And I was like, this felt like a nod. And I absolutely freaking was here for it. What a phenomenal ending to a phenomenal arc. If I was a One Piece fan before, after this arc, I feel a little bit like an addict. And just before you leaving, it is in chapter 217. I looked it up, which I was allowed to read to. Yep. So it doesn't as a spoiler alert. Miss All Sunday / Robin comes out as a stowaway from beneath deck and is like, sorry, you saved my life. But you said that okay, tell me the words I used. And you know what?
Here's the problem. You never actually reframed it at all. I rewatched this today. So you think you don't get a purple mushroom here for predicting the next Straw Hat. Now, I looked at our previous video, and what I saw is I asked the question, what kind of person will join the Straw Hats next, is what I asked.
Didn't I say I think they'll pick a shipwright?
You said a shipwright is who will join next to my question.
But did I say pick a shipwright?
You didn't say that at all. You said, I think they need a shipwright. You never reframed it. And the question I asked was very specifically, what kind of person will join the Straw Hats next?
You cheeky bugger.
I don't even think we need a pull. I don't even think we need a pull if that counts.
I'm going to agree with you. I think, though, that the person that they're going to pick next is a shipwright.
All right.
She picked them, the dumb jerk, and ruined my entire life. But you know what? An omelet with 2 purple mushrooms does not an omelet make. An omelet with 3 purple mushrooms is much more delicious.
So now that we have 3, it's actually better for you.
Well, I can actually eat an omelet now. Up until now, I was just having mushroom in part of an omelet.
Of course. Now, because you love theories and you've talked a lot about the idea of secret information, I want to bring up, what's your thoughts on that poneglyph?
Oh, the poneglyph. As soon as we were done, and then Robin was like, oh, hell yeah, it's down there. Well, Robin has the damn information now, doesn't she? And my brain was like, That's fantastic. Robin read it. She knows exactly where that biatch is, and now she's on a crew on a boat sailing around. And how far to the other side has Robin swayed? Is she actually a crew member? I don't know. Ugh.
She
Yeah.
did certainly join the crew, which was my phrasing.
So I'm a little nervous that Robin is walking around with that information, and I think they should be a lot more nervous. And I love how she pandered to each one of them exactly the way that they would want. Oh, can I do my buttons thing now?
Oh, yeah, that should have been earlier, but you can
bit?
absolutely do that.
Is this a good time to do my buttons
This is
thing?
a great time for buttons.
Okay, chat, count me in so I don't have to say my 1, 2, 3s.
All right, everybody, counter in. Come on, everybody. I don't know how we're supposed to count in as a group, but everybody as a group, try to counter in. Let's see if we can do this. This is the best. This looks amazing. Go for it.
Okay, everyone. If you're enjoying this content and you want to see more of it, why don't you press that subscribe button, then go over to the bell and press all so you can see it every time another great moment comes out and always be a part of it. Press that like so you can make it show up in other people's algorithms and they can join in our adventures too. Become part of the Mama Drock crew and become part of the Drock Show world. Thank you so much.
What do we have on the corkboard?
Okay, we're not doing a ton because it's double episode, and I like to go deep into the corkboard when we just have one and we can really soak into it. There's a few things. So, why do we have a human fruit? I started to think about all the different types of different fruits we have and all the devil fruits that are coming out. And inanimate objects are now able to change into something and why that's a thing. So then it started to make me ask the question of, where the living hell are all these devil fruits coming from? Who's producing the devil fruit? And why? What are they trying to do it for? What is the ultimate goal? I'm going to predict in a big way. I'll collect evidence for it now, but I want to predict as a large scoped thing that all the characters in all of One Piece are going to redefine what it means to be on the right side. Whether they are in Navy, government, pirates, other people. That Luffy is changing the world, and it's not just Luffy, it's going to be Luffy and the Straw Hats are changing a world in the way that it's actually going to change the way that people look at what the right side of something is. Luffy and his crew, that we are actually physically seeing the changes that are taking place in them, so they are definitely going through a bigger change. So now I think that they're in there. Every single thing that happens to them is changing who they are and how the Straw Hats grow. So they're leveling up in front of our eyes at a rapid pace, which makes me think that they are all coming into powers.
Okay. The Straw Hats are all coming into powers and growing before our eyes.
Yeah, we'll touch on this one this time because I don't want to take people too long.
Okay.
So in the D in Luffy, you were talking to me. We kind of had this
we came to a weird conclusion together when I was telling you about his laugh.
Yeah, so tell the laugh part again.
Yeah, so basically, I mentioned a theory someone had where they were like, oh, if you're saying that the moon was shown every 4 panels, isn't that extra spooky? Because 4 sounds like death in Japanese, so it's a bad, scary number. And you checked, and it wasn't actually every 4. It was something you said offhand.
And I said, no, I just offhandedly said every 4.
But yeah, it is spooky because it sounds like death, because it sounds like she. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Luffy's laugh is she over and over again. And then both of us kind of had the revelation of thinking, oh, a noteworthy thing about Luffy is that he laughed as he was about to be executed, and his laugh is saying a word that sounds like death over and over and over again.
So we started to think about Luffy's she and think maybe the D in Luffy, D Luffy, or Monkey D Luffy.
This one's yours. I want to say at this point, fully
I went in this direction. Yeah, that's true. That maybe the D stands for death.
Monkey Death Luffy. Sounds so edgy, but he does laugh death. Death is kind of his laugh, which is bonkers.
And I know that it would also seem to make sense when I'm asking the question of where the devil fruit come from, that it could be Monkey Devil Luffy, and devil could be the middle name for all of them, and their family could be responsible for creation of devil fruit or something like that. And that's in his spinny corkboard world, but there's some of both of those ideas brewing around in Cork-board Corner, the idea of it being either death or devil.
Do you want to put that on the predictions? We can just have two things that the D could stand for in the predictions because I don't
Great.
care. I don't care if they conflict. Oh, we're gonna put
No,
devil and death.
I'm gonna have a bazillion. It's gonna be
All right.
dragon, death, devil right now.
All right. So we're now
I'll
guaranteeing
pin
that if
down
when we
later.
find out, you will no matter what get more mushrooms than stars. But hey, that's okay.
I don't give a crap. I love omelets. They're my fave. And it's not about being right, and it's not about predicting all the time with accuracy. It's about deciphering and learning and wondering and actually digging into the work that Oda made and saying like, all right, Oda, let's try some things on. So I cheated and I read ahead. So let's just say I can't say much, but when things fall down on your head and you find out which direction is next, you gotta be so excited.
Yeah, because that falls and immediately your thought is, oh, fuck, we ain't going horizontal no more.
Oh, I'm so stoked. I cannot wait. I cannot say it enough. I cannot wait.
I feel like.
So I'm allowed to read 244.
236.
44. Okay.
So let's do our closing segments for the day. We've done Cork-board Corner, so let's round it out. Who are the MVPs in part 2 of Alabasta?
Here we go. Number 5.
You're going 5 up, not 1 down, huh?
Yeah, normally I go the other way, but I really got to do it this way this time. Okay.
Okay.
Number 5 is going to be Sanji.
All right.
Nope. Nami.
Nami at number 5, defeating Miss Doublefinger, gets her the point.
And then number 4 is going to be Sanji.
Okay.
Number 3 is, okay, that's really hard. Robin.
Nico Robin, who has a name now, is our number 3.
She's the number 3 person. And this is really hard. This is the hardest this has ever been.
Damn.
Number 2 is Luffy, and I feel bad about number 2 being Luffy because he should be a number 1 in lots of ways, but for me, he's number 2.
Okay, he did a lot this arc, but yeah, I get it. It's a tough one.
Beyond a lot, and then tied for first place.
Damn.
No, not even tied. No.
What?
It's Usopp. It's
Usopp. Who was gonna be up there?
My great good little buddy Chopper, because they fought together.
I get why you wanted to put them together, but yeah, Usopp gets points outside the fight. It's not just the fight.
No, exactly. Usopp has points in that fight and in 3 others. So the reason that I chose Usopp as number 1 is because he was involved in so many fights. He was integral to so many different things. Like you can't not notice what he was involved in. You just can't.
Did your favorite devil fruit change with the introduction of the devil fruits we got in the second part, like the blade fruit, the spike fruit? Jackal, I guess, is another one we learned about here.
Yeah, Jackal was weird.
Mole, Dachshunds, did any of those change your top 5 ranking?
No, the Dachshund made me uncomfortable, and I wanted to be like, what the what?
Okay.
I'm not happy about it.
Don't want the power to turn into a Dachshund.
I don't want anything that isn't an actual living, breathing thing that can chew on something to be eating devil fruit.
But that's not a trait of the Dachshund fruit. That's a trait of someone gave this bazooka a fruit.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with it, and it's not making my list. You know what, Dachshund? I can't believe I'm saying to this, but you've been a naughty boy. Go sit in the corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lasso has to go sit in the corner. He's been a bad boy.
Hey, right. I love this picture that you made. This picture here in particular makes me want to get all teary again.
Aw. That's got to be the goal if you're feeling this scene. This is the beautiful emotional gut wrencher of Luffy being told by Nami that they're gonna hurt Vivi if they connect her to pirates.
Hey, somebody here said Bon Clay was robbed so bad. I don't disagree. He's an honorable mention, 100,000%.
He's a tight number 6.
He is a beyond tight number 6. But I think we're going to see Bon Clay in the future, and he's gonna give us something to put him up higher on that damn list.
Can we add that to predictions? That next time we see
you bet.
Bon will be higher.
I have a feeling he's going to get up on that list high because he is learning to be an iconic dude.
I have loved doing this one. I just feel like there's something we're missing to close it out, but I can't think of it.
The only thing to say is this has been absolutely incredible. I can't believe the time it is in some of the places that you all are coming from. We have 294 people in here being part of a community. Like you, I just got to tell you, thank you very much, everyone.
You guys are incredible. This has been so much fun. I'm so looking forward to more of this. I am thrilled to take on the rest of the series and all of the One Piece content I want to make with my mom and the rest of this amazing community we're building in the future. I'm just so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you, everybody. This was an absolute blast.
Until next time, everybody, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm sorry. There's a chat comment that's too good not to say.
What is it?
Deidre Mercer says the devil fruits were invented by John Devilfruit when he tried to devil and fruit at the same time.
Absolutely incredible.
That's so fucking funny.
I'm gonna put that down as number one.